Here we have the EliteWheels Drive 650D wheel set. Hubs will be spun in my fingertips, and while we're at it, we'll test their vocal skills as well. I may also be obsessed with research, bought fancy tools to test the wheels, collated endless facts and figures, and answered all those burning questions that you didn't even know you had. Let's plunge right into what these wheels have to offer. Rip open the box, and what do you find? Spare spokes? Yes, that's right, we've got 4 of them, and nice to see they're packaged well. Then we have the lock rings for the disc brake rotors. Yes, correct, these wheels are disc brake. Now this might seem like a small little detail having these lock rings, but it is a handy one. Now ordinarily I would now be looking for the tubeless valves, but these wheels have come prepared. They are already set up, tubeless ready. Both rim tape and valve are already installed, saving us from that fiddly little task. It's like the wheel fairy came and did all that hard work for us. Unless you want good old rubber inside your tyres, and then it's a pain. Let's get up and personal. Now at first glance, these wheels are quite the head turners. They exude quality and attention to detail, as if daring you to doubt their superiority. It's important to note that the world of EliteWheels is divided into 2 territories. One is the Wild West, that is AliExpress, the marketplace of surprising find and unexpected treasures and budget wheels. The other is high end, where every millimetre reeks of quality, hopefully. These wheels we're reviewing today, my friends, belong to the latter category. A common question is, are the decals under the clear coat? The answer is a resounding yes, they are slightly pronounced. While we're on the aesthetics, let's take a moment to appreciate the carbon finish. It's a spectacle to behold, drawing you in, holding your gaze, and demanding your attention basically. This carbon spell seems to grow stronger with each new wheel set I review. Time to get the measuring tools out, and we will look at the wheel depth first. Now this isn't always a walk in the park, we're dealing with sort of curves here folks, but we'll crack on anyway. Starting with the front, the depth should sit at a sleek 65mm. What did we find? 66.1, 66, 66 and 66.4. Seems like the tricky angle might have added a sneaky millimetre or 2 to our measurements. For the rear, we measured 66.7, 67.7, 65.9 and 66.1. If we look at the bigger picture, we're still sat in the right ballpark. And that, my friends, is what counts. Next up, the inner rim width. There's a certain crowd out there, you know who you are, that just can't get enough of a good, hefty, thick, wide inner.
Are those words?
Starting at the front, we're expecting 21mm. What did we get? We measured 21.9, 22, 21.8 and 21.6. Yes, those numbers are strutting their stuff in the high 21s, which is a tad more generous than the claimed 21mm listed on the website. But who am I to complain about a little extra width? The rear inner rim width returned with a grand slam of consistency. We've got 21.6 across the board for all 4 measurements. I think that is a first on the channel. Now that's a sort of uniformity we love to see. Let's touch briefly on the outer rim width. The outer width is a claimed 28mm. Now for the front wheel, the measurements are hovering around 28.2, 28, 28.1 and 28.2. And the rear wheel, we've got a consistent 28.2 across all measurements. Outer width isn't the main focus, but good to see nonetheless. Let's talk about spokes. These spokes are fully carbon and they should be 3.2mm and they are bladed spokes. After a few measurements, I found they're actually closer to 3.1mm, so basically the same. Now let's discuss the spoke patterns. Now on the rear, the non-drive side has a single cross pattern. That's where each spoke only crosses one other spoke. The drive side, the side with the gears and the cassette, has a double cross spoke pattern, meaning that each spoke crosses 2 other spokes. Now we're looking at 8 spokes on the non-drive side and 16 on the drive side. That's a total of 24 spokes for the rear wheel. As for the front wheel, the disc side, which corresponds to the non-drive side of the bike, has more spokes. So there are 14 in total. The opposite side has 7 spokes. That gives us a total of 21 spokes for the front wheel, so a few less than the rear. Note that none of the spokes are actually touching as well as they cross, another good sign of quality wheel design. These are straight pull spokes. Straight pull spokes don't bend at the hub, thus eliminating a common stress point and making them less prone to breakage. Add into this, EliteWheels doesn't just assemble wheels, they manufacture their own high precision hubs. Having a hub that is manufactured to exacting standards by the same company ensures a perfect match with the spokes. Now radial trueness is essentially how circular the wheel is. You don't want to feel like you're going over a speed bump every wheel rotation. On the rear wheel, first we did the sound test. This is where we push the tool close to the rim and check to see if it rubs. The results weren't too bad. It's hard to tell with the naked eye, but there didn't appear to be any major deviations. The dial indicator, on the other hand, gives us a more precise reading. And to use this, we push it against the rim, zero the dial indicator, spin the wheel, and then see how much deviation there is on the dial indicator. To help you visualize, each notch on this dial indicator represents 0.01 millimeters, meaning that the whole dial equates to 1 millimeter. When we done this, we were looking around 0.25 millimeters of deviation, which is very good. Moving on to the radial trueness on the front, the sound tests for the front wheel showed promising results too. Onto the dial indicator, the deviation was around 0.4 millimeters or 40 notches on the dial indicator. That's nearly half a millimeter out, which is still basically nothing. Right, let's talk about lateral trueness. Think of it as how straight the wheel runs from side to side as it spins. Is it wobbling about, or is it running as true as the North Star? When we spin the wheel against the rubber indicator on the truing stand, it seems pretty consistent, right? The noise you're hearing, the little tick or hitting, is actually the raised section of the decal hitting the indicator, not the actual carbon wheel itself. Now look at this, we are only 0.1 millimeter out on the dial indicator. That's practically perfect in our book and one of the best wheels that I've seen in all the wheels that I've reviewed so far, so a big thumbs up for this. Now let's look at the front wheel. Again, nothing crazy with the sound test. The sound is pretty consistent and spinning with some space between the rubber indicator. The wheel looks pretty good as well. Again, with the dial indicator, you'll notice some jumps. That's from the decal. Just want to remind everyone of that. But if we take that into account, we're only looking at around 0.2 or 0.25 millimeter of run out, which again is very, very good indeed. Now let's look at the rear hub. The wheel sounds really good, smooth and almost hypnotic, to be honest. And boy, do they keep spinning. The momentum it generates is quite impressive. So fingers crossed it feels just as smooth and out and about on the road. Incredibly satisfying to watch. It's the simple things in life. Man in shed, watches wheel lovingly.
There's something strangely enjoyable about it.
Now let's talk about the sound. The hub isn't shy about making its presence known. While it's not the loudest hub I've ever encountered, it definitely has a distinctive hum. When I took the wheel out and span it in my hands, the experience is nothing shy of silky. There's almost no resistance or graininess. It just keeps spinning and spinning. You might say it's like we're connected through the rotation of the tips of my fingers. Okay, maybe that's a bit much, but you get my point. As for the front hub, it's an even smoother operator. Without the added complexity of a cassette to worry about, the front wheel just goes and goes and goes. I promise I won't make you sit through a full 5 minutes of this wheel literally just spinning. But suffice to say, these hubs are among the smoothest I've encountered. Now, when we look at the spoke tension, the aim is to achieve uniformity across each side of the wheel because it contributes to the wheel's strength, performance and longevity. And it seems like we have a pretty consistent spoke tension. For the front wheel, the drive side spoke tensions range from 2.29 to 2.92. And on the non-drive side, it ranges from 2.24 to 2.67. We then added all the tensions into the part tools checker. It gave us the green light, even at a 5% accuracy. For the rear wheel, where all the power is transferred, the drive side spoke tensions range from 2.45 to 2.87. And the non-drive side tensions range from 2.26 to 2.6. When we add all the tensions into the Park Tools app, we get the green light. Again, even at 5%. Time to delve into the hot topic of weight, because in the world of performance bikes, every gram matters. First up, we've got the rear wheel weighing in at a lean 830 grams. That's inclusive of the rim tape as well that's already installed. Next, we turn our attention to the front wheel, tipping the scales at a very low competitive 710 grams. Rim tape included again. In total, we're looking at a combined weight of 1,540 grams for a 65mm deep section wheel set. This sort of weight puts them in the very light category for wheels of this depth. Are they worth it? That's the big question. That's what everyone wants to know. Now, these wheels are $1,189 or 925 pounds. Now, from this video, they seem to represent very good quality, but until I get them out on the road and put them through their paces, who knows? They do have a 3-year warranty though, and they also have a crash replacement policy in place, which is good to see from Elite Wheels. You should check out this video next, which reviews another high-end wheel set. You know I love to dig deep in these videos and product reviews, and this one's no different. Subscribe to see a full in-depth review of these wheels coming in the near future. I'll see you very soon.